First up, I'd love to hear your thoughts on fiber. A lot of people claim we need it, meant to be good for the gut. You don't believe so. What do you think about fiber, Bart?
No, well, the deal with fiber, as far as we can tell, is that people need to understand that 99.9% of everything that's published about fiber and human health is associative, prospective cohort studies, or even worse, just somebody's educated opinion.
So by that, you mean that it's simply these association studies which show people that consume more fiber tend to have better health outcomes?
Yeah, of that kind. But also that's without controlling any of the covariates, collinearities, and confounders. So this is just this is associated with that type study without any attempt actually to do any science, any experimental science, any interventional science, or control anything, or even observe anything. Actually, what they do is they talk to people and they write down everything that people tell them about their lives and their health, and they believe everything they're told, and that's somehow supposed to be science. Well, that's not science, that's rubbish. When you look at associations, I mean, I can make all sorts of arguments about associations, can't I? Like I could say this, well, there is a strong, linear, predictable, and repeatable relationship between the sales of ice cream at Miami Beach on any given summer's day and the incidence of people reporting sunburn at Miami Beach that day. Ergo, the cause of sunburn is ice cream. No, ridiculous. That's what we've got. There is, however, one sort of clinical study, a sort of pseudo-clinical study with some attempt to control things and some attempt to actually observe things properly. And that one study is smallish scale. I think it's N equals 63 from memory. And what they did is they got these 63 people were all people who already had idiopathic constipation. Idiopathic, by the way, is a medical term for we have no idea what the cause is. The doctors aren't allowed to say we don't know, so they use a word that's people don't understand. They go, oh, thank you, doctor, it's idiopathic. Good. Okay, it just means they don't know. Anyway, they took these people with constipation and stressing and straining and inability to pass stool and hemorrhoids and bleeding anuses and all sorts of stuff that these people had going on. And what they did was they said, well, we're going to split you into 4 groups. I think it was 4. Don't quote me on that. But it was like, okay, you people, you're going to continue to eat exactly the same amount of fiber that you always have done. Don't change a thing. You're our control group. This other group here, what we're going to do is ask you to increase your fiber by 100% or something, whatever it was. And the theory is that this 100% increase in fiber will decrease this constipation problem and the anal bleeding and stress and strain and all of that. And then we're going to have 2 other groups, one that we're going to half the fiber consumption, because that's obviously going to be much worse. And there's another group that's 25% or something like that. I can't remember the exact details. Anyway, the results were there was a dose-response relationship, absolutely, between fiber and all of the symptoms of constipation, stress and strain, anal bleeding, all of that kind of stuff. Here is what the relationship was. The more fiber people ate, the worse the problem was. The less fiber they ate, the more alleviation of those symptoms they got, to the point where the subgroup that ate no fiber at all, none, every single one of those participants, bar none, had a 100% relief from all signs and symptoms of constipation, stress and strain, anal bleeding, etc. Every single one of them. That's pretty powerful. So we go with that. Basically, what it turns out is that fiber is an irritant in the human colon. Our colons are not evolved for fiber. We do not have a functional cecum, which is where the fermentation of fibers happen in species similar to us, such as gorillas. We don't have that. We have been eating the flesh and fat of animals for roughly 4.5 million years and not fiber. That's why our bodies have changed according to that plan and gorillas haven't. It causes inflammation. It causes leaky gut syndrome. or I should say it seems to cause all these things because the association is quite strong, as I spoke about. And these other studies that talk about fiber being good for you, well, that's a thing called healthy user bias, because people who are generally more healthy, let's face it, generally are better educated. They generally have other healthy habits like exercise and temperance of other habits like smoking, drinking, etc., mostly. And I could go on and on and on. And these are all things that could lead someone to having less inflammation, better bowel function, whatever, despite the fact that they're eating the fiber, not because of the fact that they're eating the fiber. So that's that one in a nutshell.
Wow. Yep. Very well said. The studies that show fiber, have all these positive health outcomes. It's very clear that these positive health outcomes are simply due to the fact that these people are eating vegetables instead of these ultra processed foods filled with all these chemicals. So I think it's a pretty straightforward one to put to bed.